When Euybike asked me to review the S4 Pro Max, I first looked at it and went, didn't I do this one already? But when I took a closer look, I quickly realized that this thing is totally different from the S4. Let me show you. Oh. It's been about a month since I've unboxed the S4 Pro Max, and since then, two big things have happened. Number one, well, the S4 Pro Max has quickly become my favorite e-bike. Like, period. I actually ride it every day as my daily driver, not because I have to for this review, even though I do, but because it's actually just my favorite e-bike. The second big thing that's happened, well, I mentioned before that I've already reviewed an e-bike that looks eerily similar to this one. And that's because it is. That is the original S4, and this is the new and improved S4 Pro Max. And I'm happy to report that while the original was pretty good, this thing's a lot better. The display now has a rich, full-color screen. The suspension is upgraded, which improves both the ride and the handling. An additional front motor that makes acceleration just frickin' terrifying. Throttle response is vastly better, though I do have some notes, more on that later. The seat is made for a real human being, which is nice. The taillight is straight out of Cyberpunk. Now we have fully integrated turn signals, which is great for street riding. All of these upgrades and added features make for a far better riding experience. In fact, most bikes at this price point don't even have an 1,000-watt motor, let alone two of them. Now, I have some thoughts on value, but it's easier to just explain in the studio. All right, for my fellow high school dropouts, this is what we call a graph. On the y-axis here, we have cost, aka how much money you have to spend. And on the x-axis, we have e-bike, or how much e-bike you get in return. Now, in a perfect world, all e-bikes would be right here. That is, it would cost essentially nothing, but it would be as much e-bike as possible. Now, if you want to spend as little money as possible on an e-bike, you're probably going to be buying used. And that could be maybe about, say, $200. Now, this is going to be your Facebook Marketplace buy, maybe eBay, definitely secondhand. Now, for a moderate increase in price, we got much more e-bike. And as we continue to spend more money, we get even more e-bike. But what happens after this point? Okay, what just happened? Because up until this point, the more money we spent on an e-bike, the more e-bike we got. Well, it's the law of diminishing return. So in my opinion, this is the ideal price range to shop for an e-bike. And on that note, this e-bike is a tremendous value. Not only because you're getting a lot of performance for the money, but also because Euybike knew where exactly to cheap out on. And that's a compliment. The frame, brakes, shifter, and kickstand are all about the same as the previous S4, which, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Of course, there are certain aspects of this e-bike that are still lackluster. For instance, the handlebars have hard rubber grips on them that tilt too easily in place. The main reason why this has quickly become my favorite e-bike is not because it's the most exciting e-bike I've ever ridden, even though it is. It's actually because of the pedal assist. Reason being, this is the only moped-style e-bike that I've come across that has a torque sensor for the pedal assist. For the uninitiated, a torque sensor refers to the style of pedal assist that triggers the motor, or I guess motors in this case, to activate. On the vast majority of e-bikes, you're going to see something called a cadence sensor. Unlike a torque sensor, a cadence sensor has no idea if you're actually trying to exert force onto the pedals. Since a cadence sensor only detects whether or not the pedals are moving, the e-bike will give you 100% acceleration if you just happen to move the pedals, say when going around a corner and shifting your weight and feet around. With a torque sensor, not only does it not accelerate if you aren't pressing hard on the pedals, but it also modulates the throttle depending on how hard you press. So it basically gives you superhuman legs. It's not all sunshine and rainbows with the pedal assist on this e-bike though. One thing that actually kind of annoys me is the throttle lag. You see, it's actually kind of a common thing with dual motor e-bikes where when you begin accelerating either by using the pedals or the throttle, the rear motor does engage instantly, but the front motor takes about 1 second to engage. This is not a technical issue, it's actually a tuning one. Since the front wheel losing grip is significantly more dangerous than the rear, Euybike tuned the front motor to slowly kick in, giving the rider time to react in case of a slip. I don't necessarily mind that being an option, but guys, if I can choose which motor is active down to the front, rear, or both, shouldn't I also be given the option to tune how the throttle works depending how I want it? This is a small complaint with an otherwise awesome e-bike, but I included it because it seems like such an easy fix. One of the things that's so awesome about having an all-wheel drive e-bike is the off-roading. That might sound dumb to anyone who knows anything about cars. Okay, we're gonna finish torquing down the cylinder head. Or wait. Anyways, not only is this e-bike a monster at tackling dirt, gravel, grass, or whatever you throw at it, but it's also the fastest accelerating e-bike I've ever used going uphill. And that's all thanks to the additional front motor. I know I've said a lot of really nice things about this e-bike, but I can't understate just how fun it is. And that's all backed by a gargantuan 30 amp hour battery, which I think is the largest battery I've ever seen on an e-bike. You can get at least 25 or 30 miles of range, but that's a bare minimum. The speed and handling make me appreciate the included turn signals even more, because this e-bike is a legitimate moped that you can use in the city. The headlight and taillight are both super bright, and of course the rear is cyberpunk themed. Ooh. The tires offer a good blend of off-road and street performance, although I think I've seen these before on other e-bikes, and just be warned that they do wear out pretty quickly. I have very few complaints with this e-bike. I think if you are looking for a moped-style e-bike that you can use in the city and you can depend on it to go to far places quickly, you should get this one. And if you do end up buying it, please use code Quincy to save a little bit of money, and it also gives me a small kickback that helps support the channel. If you still have questions that I didn't answer in this video, you are more than welcome to ask them in the comment section down below. I usually get back to everyone.